My name is Matt Ho, and this is my NUin experience.
Down by the river, I was drawn by your grace into depths of oblivion, into the lover's place. I was stuck in a puddle full of tears and unwise, stuck doing now know that we've paid unright.
Long before I even thought about where I wanted to go to college, I'd become addicted to traveling and seeking out new adventures. I've been involved in Boy Scouts since the first grade and have had many opportunities to explore the United States and Canada. Now, I would have the opportunity to explore Europe, and maybe do a little studying as well. I've been practicing the art of parkour for several years, so naturally I was excited about all the training opportunities that Greece's architecture might provide. Of all the sports I've ever tried, parkour has proved to have the best community base by far. Practicing parkour has brought me some of the most memorable times in my life, and I hoped it would help me make even better memories in my first semester of college abroad. And with that, let's go to Greece. Once I arrived in Thessaloniki, I was happy to discover the cultural capital of Greece. The architecture of Thessaloniki did indeed make for some interesting locations for parkour training. The tightly knit NUin community allowed me to collaborate with students trained in other disciplines. As such, I taught my friends basic parkour skills, and they taught me basic breakdancing moves in return. It was all very difficult and tiring work, but having my peers there to give pointers and encouragement made learning the movements that much easier. However, my time abroad wasn't only centered around Thessaloniki. Through all the NUin-sponsored, ACT-sponsored, and personally planned trips, my friends and I managed to travel all over Europe. Each place I visited, I learned something new. Not only about the culture, but also about myself. In Rome, I saw some of the most breathtaking architecture I could have ever imagined. It is truly humbling for me, being from a country that is only 240 years old, to visit a city with such a long and rich history. Visiting Istanbul was certainly a learning experience, seeing as we were swindled by taxi drivers and harassed by street peddlers left and right. We also walked through the Grand Bazaar, a massive shopping complex that taught me that no price is final, and that the best way to get a better deal is to pretend to walk away. My street smarts were definitely improved after this crazy trip. I was fortunate enough to travel to Paris on my birthday. There we spent the weekend taking in all the sights the beautiful city had to offer. Paris taught me that it's always important to keep your bearings, as many of my group got lost throughout the trip. But everything worked out in the end, since we all made it back to Greece safely. Eventually. ACT also sponsored many trips for the NUin students, one of which was a scenic boat ride out of the beautiful beach of Halkidiki. Here we spent the weekend relaxing in the ocean and seeing what surprises Halkidiki had to offer. ACT also took us to Athens and Delphi. Here we visited many historical sites as well as distinguished museums full of ancient Greek history. Balancing schoolwork with everything going on in and around Greece was no small task. I had to meticulously plan my schedule to create the ideal ratio of me time and ACT time. Luckily, since my responsible Northeastern peers were always on top of things, there weren't too many distractions. The NUin program provided us with the opportunity to get to know the Greek community by doing service learning at various local organizations. For my service learning experience, I spent my time volunteering at the Amimoni Daycare Center for Disabled Children. Our main project was creating 2 sensory isolation boxes for the children. In the end, this turned out to be a very rewarding experience. Amimoni's occupational therapist told us that the sensory isolation boxes that we constructed looked great, and will be very useful during the children's therapy sessions. Through my service learning, I learned that everyone can do their part for the community, no matter how small. Living abroad for these past 3 months taught me a lot about myself. Yes, I can survive without my parents. Yes, I can keep track of my own schedule. And yes, I can plan my own vacations. I managed to adjust to a new language, new food, and a new culture, and I loved every minute of it. Without a doubt, my life in Europe has expanded my global perspective, as well as my outlook on life in general. The relationships I've made here and the experiences I've had are absolutely unforgettable. I'm certain that when I return to Northeastern, my experiences living abroad will provide me with valuable insights to shape how I approach the rest of college and in turn, the rest of my life.